More than 30 people indicted, some even for second-degree murder in connection to a single death.
America, Tennessee just delivered a crushing blow to a deadly fentanyl network with 33 federal indictments stemming from one overdose death in Murfreesboro. Police seized 15 pounds of pure Fenty, enough to kill 3 million Americans, along with pounds of cocaine, heroin, meth, 61 guns, and almost $200,000 in cash. But here's what's really shocking. 3 defendants are being charged with second-degree murder for dealing drugs that killed someone. And this 2-year investigation revealed that overdose deaths in Murfreesboro now exceed homicides, suicides, and vehicle fatalities combined.
So it is the leading cause of fatal overdoses in Tennessee. And today, Murfreesboro police say they busted a network of people making and selling fentanyl.
What is up, guys? Tyson here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. This case is exactly what happens when law enforcement treats drug dealers like the killers that they are, instead of just processing them through our broken justice system. Let me break down why this case is so important. It all started because one police department refused to treat an overdose death as just another statistic. When a Murfreesboro man died from fentanyl in 2023, local detectives made a decision that saved countless lives. They treated it like a homicide investigation.
More than 30 people indicted, some even for second-degree murder in connection to a single death.
The nearly 2-year undercover investigation into drugs, gangs, and guns took down a major trafficking network stretching from Nashville to Murfreesboro.
That decision to dig deeper instead of just filing paperwork led to a 2-year undercover operation that exposed a trafficking network stretching from Nashville to Murfreesboro. This is exactly the kind of police work that separates real law enforcement from bureaucrats with badges.
The investigation began in late 2023 after a Murfreesboro man died from a fentanyl overdose. Detectives with the Murfreesboro Police, the TBI, and Metro Police quickly identified multiple suppliers seizing fentanyl powder and pills during search warrants.
What makes this case so groundbreaking is that 3 defendants are facing second-degree murder charges for dealing drugs that resulted in fatality overdoses. Finally, we're holding these poison dealers accountable for deaths they caused, instead of just giving them slaps on the wrist. The scope of this criminal enterprise is absolutely staggering. We're not just talking about street-level drug dealers. We're talking about heavy armed organizations that was prepared for war against law enforcement and rival gangs.
Police in the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation say that this all started after a deadly fentanyl incident that happened in 2023.
15 pounds of fentanyl, more than 2 pounds each of meth, heroin, and cocaine, and at least $175,000 cash.
61 weapons, many of them stolen and equipped with switches that convert them to fully automatic firearms. This wasn't a drug operation. This was a paramilitary organization operating in the heart of Tennessee. When criminals have access to machine guns while law-abiding citizens face endless restrictions, something is seriously wrong with our system.
The suspects include 66-year-old Keith Denton, 33-year-old Michael Denton, and 35-year-old Joe.
It's important to note that 15 pounds of fentanyl was taken and seized as part of this investigation.
$175,000 in cash seized shows these criminals were making some serious money from poisoning American communities. Every dollar represents American lives destroyed, while these parasites got rich selling death to our neighbors and children. One of the most disturbing discoveries was the Fenty production laboratory operating right in Nashville. This means we're not just dealing with smuggling anymore. Criminals are manufacturing poison directly in American cities, turning our own communities into death factories.
The individuals under indictment were part of a drug trafficking organization that distributed large quantities of deadly fentanyl onto the streets of our communities, and as a result, we believe several persons in our state overdosed and died.
Think about what this means for every American family. These criminals weren't just importing drugs. They were setting up manufacturing operations in our cities, using Chinese precursors to produce the poison that's now the leading cause of death for Americans under 50.
They discovered a fentanyl lab in Nashville, stopped plans to commit first-degree murder, and dismantled a drug distribution system. On top of the fentanyl, they also seized pounds of cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, 61 guns, and almost $200,000.
The investigation also uncovered and prevented plans for first-degree murder. These weren't just drug dealers. They were running a criminal enterprise that included assassination plots and territorial warfare right in Tennessee communities. Here's a statistic that should terrify every American parent. Murfreesboro is now seeing more overdose deaths than homicides, suicides, and vehicle fatalities combined. Let that sink in. Fentanyl is killing more people than murderers, suicides, and car accidents put together.
All of our officers and all of these partnering agencies did whatever they could to bring justice for those families with these arrests.
This isn't just a drug problem. This is chemical warfare against the American people. When one substance is killing more people than all causes of death combined, we're dealing with a weapon of mass destruction, not a recreational drug.
In the past year, the number of overdose deaths has decreased from 51 to 38, and they hope these arrests help keep that trend going.
I can say with complete confidence that thanks to the relentless efforts by the investigators involved in this operation, lives have been saved and our streets are safer.
The good news is that aggressive law enforcement works. Overdose deaths in the area decreased from 51 to 38 just this past year. That's 13 American lives saved because police decided to treat drug dealers like the killers that they are. What makes this case a model for the rest of America is the cooperation between Murfreesboro Police, Metro Nashville Police, and Tennessee Bureau of Investigations. When agencies stop protecting their turf and start protecting Americans, this is what you can accomplish.
The Metro Health Department says fatal overdose deaths are down through the first 6 months of the year, but the number is still high. Police say the drugs from the bust would certainly have fed the deadly fentanyl crisis that continues to plague communities across the region.
27 of the 33 defendants are already in custody, which shows the thoroughness of this investigation. When you spend 2 years building an airtight case instead of just making quick arrests for headlines, you can dismantle entire criminal networks.
The suspects arrested are spread out all through Tennessee, and some are right here at the Metro Jail.
The fact that these suspects are spread throughout Tennessee just shows how these criminal networks operate. They don't respect city or county boundaries, so law enforcement can't either. This requires regional cooperation and federal resources. The most important aspect of this case is the second-degree murder charges for dealers whose drugs cause death. This is exactly the kind of accountability we need nationwide. When you sell poison that kills someone, you should face murder charges, not just drug trafficking charges.
These are the 33 people tied to what the police called a major drug trafficking operation. They're charged with everything from second-degree homicide to fentanyl distribution.
This investigation is proof yet again that there are individuals right here in our state who are trafficking in deadly drugs, firearms, that have absolutely no regard for human life.
For too long, we treated drug dealers like they're selling candy instead of poison. When somebody dies from Fenty, the person who sold it should face the same charges as somebody who commits murder with a gun or knife. Death is death, regardless of the weapon used. The investigation is described as far from over, which means more arrests are coming down the pipeline. These 33 indictments are just the beginning of dismantling the networks that have turned American communities into killing fields. America, this Tennessee operation should be a blueprint for every state in the country. One overdose death led to 33 indictments, the seizure of enough Fenty to kill 3 million people, and the dismantling of a criminal enterprise that was manufacturing poison in American cities. The second-degree murder charges represents a fundamental shift on how we treat the Fenty crisis. Instead of viewing dealers as nonviolent criminals, we're finally recognizing them as the killers that they are. When you sell Fenty, you're not selling drugs, you are selling death. The cooperation between local, state, and federal agencies proves that when law enforcement works together with proper resources and leadership, they can take down the most sophisticated criminal networks. The 61 weapons taken off the streets means fewer tools for criminal violence. The $175,000 in cash seized means less money flow for criminal enterprise. But most importantly, this investigation shows that every overdose death should trigger a homicide investigation. When we start holding dealers accountable for the deaths they cause, we'll finally start winning the war against these poison peddlers. Tennessee's law enforcement just showed America how it's done. Now we need every state to follow their example and start treating Fenty dealers like the murderers that they are. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.